How are you coping with what we're going through right now? In your business, if you're a coach, if you're an expert, what can you do right now to prepare yourself for the new normal? When we get through this, what can you do? Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix, and we had an event scheduled, and because of all the craziness, we had to postpone it. But we asked ourselves, the faculty, what could we do to help people even though we couldn't get together live? So we decided to do a webinar for the people who had already signed up for this event that we postponed. But what we realized is us, the faculty, all of us with varying backgrounds coming together, helping each other cope with what's happening now so we can be better positioned when we come out of this, that there's things you can do right now. We found it so helpful for each other that we decided to make this recording available for you. This could be one of the most important videos you watch to get the insights you need. What do the game changers do when the game changes? So let's check out that live webinar right now.
Welcome everyone to the coronavirus version of Stage Time Live, March 2020. We are happy to be joining you from all over the country instead of Las Vegas. I'm Michael Davis. I am one of the coaches at Stage Time. I'm also the host of the weekly Core Calls. With that, I would like to hand it over to the man that we consider to be the best trainer in the world and also a pretty good MC of these events, Mr. Ed Tate.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. All right. So I'm the guy who's known for audience participation. So if you ever are out, if we're ever allowed to go out ever again, no handshakes, namaste, Michelin man, jazz hands, okay, starburst, whatever you could do. I mean, we can have fun with this. And one of the things I'm about to introduce some of our panelists is that we continue to have fun. I realize these are pretty serious times, and I don't mean to undermine that. But there's some things that we can still do. I mean, we're literally practicing the ultimate in social distancing. Mike, where are you from? I mean, where are you right now?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
I'm in Vegas. Jennifer, you're in Vegas as
Vegas.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she's in a different suburb. She's way far away from me. Okay.
Okay.
Mark, where are you from?
I'm in Central Georgia, in the South.
And Kevin and Darren?
I'm in Indiana.
I'm in Las Vegas. This is the line right now.
Hologram right there.
Okay. That's social distancing. All right. But let's talk about what this is not. This is not advice on what you should do during these times. Okay. We're not going to give you any prescriptive information on, taking care of yourself and things of that nature. I never buy sushi from a gas station. And what that means is, the only time I only take medical advice from doctors. And that's the only thing I'm going to advise you to do as well. Only take medical advice from doctors. The two websites you've heard about, CDC, World Health Organization, that's all we're going to say about that. This is about, providing you with value, even though that we can't be there for Stage Time University. So I want to introduce our illustrious panel, and we're going to do round robin, just opening thoughts. So we're going to start off with, Kevin. Kevin, introduce yourself, and you're just opening thoughts.
I'm Kevin Burke. If you don't know me, I've been performing for the last 19 years. I've been doing a one-man show, Broadway play called Defending the Caveman. And I will violate Ed's no medical advice rule when I tell you that while we're all kind of sticking close to home, it will make you healthier if you practice your speech 100 times.
It fights the virus.
Yes, well, it gets your endorphins going, it gets your adrenaline going.
Heightens your immune system.
Yeah, that'll actually maybe help, but I want you to practice your speech 100 times.
All right. Mark Brown.
Greetings all. As I told you, I'm coming to you from Georgia. I live in the South. If you live here, it's 2 syllables, South. And I'm in a safe space, thankful about that. And even though we're forced to apply social distancing, I think what we all have for each other are the stories that come out of this experience. I wrote a little blog article. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn later on today about how we're all now part of history, but your story is a part of his story. And in the midst of all of this, we have people who are saying what to do, how to survive when you're alone. My whole focus is this. I'd like you to think about the positives. What are the uplifting things that you can take from the experience for the last several weeks, the next few months, and look for the positive, look for the uplift, look for the good news. We hear bad news every single day. This is a great opportunity to practice your story finding skills and see what's good in the experience, what uplifts you, what uplifts others. Find those gems because you will share them later on. But here's the key. Don't just hold them for later on. Start sharing them now because we all need light. We all need joy. We all need hope. We all need to be uplifted. And I know just being here virtually with all of you uplifts me. Let's find ways to really lift each other during these difficult times.
Thank you, sir. Jennifer.
Hi, so Joseph-Lier. I spent 30 years in the entertainment industry as a high-level vocalist, actor, presenter, things that nature. Anything that you could possibly do in the entertainment industry, I probably did, and had an amazing career. I've been in the speaking industry as a bureau agent, as a bureau owner, and a bureau sales agent for the past 5 years, and have just gone into this amazing industry so smoothly just because of the fact that my entertainment career was so closely tied to what it takes to be successful in speaking, in the speaking industry. And I was doing a lot of corporate events anyway in the entertainment side. So it was a smooth transition, and I brought along a ton of knowledge with me that helped me be so successful very fast in this industry. And during that time I've met so many wonderful, amazing speakers and partners and colleagues, and this group of people are definitely at the top of my list. And so glad to be here. You know, it's interesting when I work with speakers and people period, especially my colleagues in sales. You know, we're fast-paced, high level, doing a lot of things at once, and my speakers are, you know, constantly trying to make it happen and doing and going and being. And the one thing that I've noticed about this time and what we're going into right now is that we do have time and space, and it takes that quiet time oftentimes to get brilliant creative ideas. It's hard to be creative when you're moving so fast and doing things. And so it's a wonderful time to slow down and stop and innovate, because, you know, they say about innovation, it's that white space that creates those things. And so I can see everyone here having extraordinary ideas and aha moments and things that you never thought about in these next coming weeks. So I encourage you to take that time. Yes, connect. Yes, be with people on video and doing your thing, but really take some quiet time just for yourself and see what comes out.
Thank you, Jennifer. I've heard it said social distancing does not mean social isolation, so we can still remain connected. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ford.
Welcome, everybody. So I want to just comment on, as I do an introduction, on a tip, because I just can't stop myself. I would recommend that everybody, not only the panelists, but those watching this live in the replay too, start saying physical distancing instead of social distancing.
Love that.
Because social distancing implies something else, and you can say, well, physical distancing. So because we all still want that social connection. And so as thought leaders, all of us, we can start to help our communities and the blogs and everything that we write with say, look, you know, this is a time more than ever that we need to remain socially connected, but we're going to physically distance.
Keeper.
And with that, my name is Ford Saeks. I'm the CEO of Prime Concepts Group. I've been working with Stage Time University since its inception. And I'm here specifically around how do you take value and monetize it? How do you connect your value propositions to the market? So while there's a lot of on our talented faculty here that talks about humor and stage presence and storytelling and all the other aspects of it. My real focus is, okay, now that you have that expertise, how do you get paid for it? How do you generate revenue? How do you influence, engage, and connect? Back to you, Ed Tate.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mike.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Ed. Michael Davis. I've been with Stage Time for 5 years and was asked 3 years ago to take over hosting duties as well as joining the coaching staff, which has been tremendous for me. My focus primarily is on storytelling, and do a lot of work with TEDx. I'll offer some tips today because I've been doing some recent webinars on how do you present online. There are differences to presenting online and there are live. And as those questions come up, those issues, I'll be happy to share those because I've got the great fortune of hosting a lot of webinars now. And I've made every possible mistake. And I'm so thankful to Darren for sticking with me through those mistakes and letting me kind of get bruised up along the way.
It was not easy.
It's not as easy as you think. So, but if I can do it.
And you have made every mistake, just to be clear. There's a couple.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, Ford. I have the video proof of it. So thank you. So
There's
thanks,
evidence.
Ed. Thank you.
And
Back to you, Ed.
our illustrious leader, Darren.
And yes, we've heard it in the self-development world 1,000 times. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. Welcome to What You Do About It. This is the game changer. It's a game-changing event in the world. So it's what we do now is going to position ourselves for on the other side in the new normal. So it's crucial what we do now. That's why I wanted to have this webinar this morning to reach out to the people who are going to start the event. We were actually going to be starting here in Vegas right now, actually. So I thought this would be a great bonus. So if you haven't heard, we moved the dates to June 19th and 20th. And if the world is still crazy, we'll bump it back. I got some backup dates in August. But anyway, this is about you. Be Amazon. Here in Vegas, we've had over 60,000 people laid off that are no longer, working at casinos. But Amazon is hiring. Why? Because they're giving people what they need, how they need it. So again, I'm going to pull a forward quick tip, even though I can't, because I can't help myself. The one thing you should invest in right now is a good microphone and a good camera and decent lighting. This doesn't have to be much, but we're going to be doing more virtually. So you've got to look the part. Mike Davis, I remember when you kind of just let that go a little bit. You're in your cellar and we've seen the old 1980s paneling, if I may. And
you may.
I lovingly called you out on it, dude, because this, people are going to cue in on little things when you're on video. So why not make those little things take the time to make you look more professional? Because again, it's that positioning for when we get to the new normal. And so, Mike, you made the mistakes.
When Darren says microphone and lighting, the lighting where Darren and I are right now is pretty good. But I'm going to go ahead and show you behind the scenes. This is the Audio Technica mic and just a small LED panel. That is, let me see if I can get this so it does. There you go. Kind of, sort of. There you go. Yeah. Here's the microphone right here. Here's the LED panel here. And that's it. That's it. There's no big complicated set going on here. You can equip your home studio relatively inexpensively.
Okay. All right. Well, since we're talking about the topic, Mike, I'm going to go to you. So, if you can give us some tips in terms of going online.
Aaron, you're banished.
Okay. Then I'm going to go to Ford. Ford, I want you thinking about what can we do with regard to our business now? I mean, clearly everything's changed. Jennifer, I'd like to, I'm going to go with you. It's like, what can speakers do right now? We're at home right now. What are some things that we can do with regard to business? Mark, you talked about stories, and I want you to elaborate on that. So since we're talking about equipment, talking about being online, Mike, if you could take it from there. And then the audience, if you could, what questions do you have for the panelists? So I want you to think about what questions you have for all the panelists, and then we're going to go to the people with the Q&A. Okay. All right, Mike.
I'll start with 3 quick tips. Number 1 is what I'm doing right now is looking directly into a camera. The first 6 months I did webinars, I was looking here because I wanted to see Jennifer and Mark, and I had another screen over here. And that's great when you're live, but you got to keep looking at the camera. Now, it feels strange. I will tell you, it really is. But eventually you soften your gaze at the camera and your peripheral vision will pick up. The other thing is the distractions. Darren has already mentioned my wood paneled office with the 80s look, and I had pictures behind me, and I could show you
Sorry,
something.
Jennifer.
His pictures weren't nearly as pretty, Jennifer.
No,
Marilyn
they
Monroe,
weren't nearly
right.
as pretty as yours.
And they weren't even business related.
Yeah, you want to eliminate the distractions behind you. So all I've got is this nice looking screen, and you can see my microphone so you can focus on the person talking. The other set of distractions you have to deal with is your desk. Make sure you don't have notes and you've got your iPad over here and your phone distracting you. Clear off your desk as much as possible, because especially, Mark, put your cup down. Now, in the beginning, you are going to be overwhelmed. And I will tell you, you're going to make mistakes. Live with them. And then record every presentation you do. And here's why. You want to have a copy of it, but you also want to go back and watch it. This is advice I got from my good friend Darren years ago. And this is about speaking. And I said to him what everybody says. Oh, I really don't like to watch myself on video or listen to it. And I can hear it like it was yesterday. He said, Mike, really? You don't like to hear yourself? Oh, that's too bad. Guess what? We had to listen to you. Right? And I know that's funny.
But thank you.
I know that's funny, but it also is a great point. If you're not willing to watch yourself and make corrections, why can you ask anybody else to do that? So the same thing goes with your online presentations. It will speed up your learning. And then my last quick tip for you is don't overwhelm yourself in the beginning. Keep your presentations basic until you get comfortable with the Zoom or whatever you're using. And then once you get more comfortable with it, you can start adding in more visuals and graphics and all the fancy supplements. But just make sure you're giving the basic information out first. So that's what I've got for now, Ed. As other questions come up, I'm happy to address them. We did get one from Nancy Carver about lighting. That is not my expertise. I'm still working on lighting, but Darren, I know you talk about that a lot.
Well, I'll just jump in real quick. I went to the other room and grabbed this. I went to Fry's, which is electronics here.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to disappear.
Without me?
And yes, without you, Ford, you weren't here. But I got this lamp, and it's a very simple lamp, but it's got 3 settings, and it's got a gooseneck. So I can easily position it, and the 3 settings are really simple. It's just bright, bright, brighter. And I have that as my backup on my desk if my other lights go out or something. But it would be something very simple that I know when we have Ford, we have a lot of the business calls. Some people like Gary McKinsey really upgrade, looks good. But some of the other people on the call, hey, it's a call, they're learning. But why would you not start now to have the good background, have the good lighting, have the good audio?
Here's
Darren,
the
real
lamp
quick.
that Darren turned me on to right here. So the thing I like about this one is it's battery operated. So it actually has batteries. This is the one that's actually in Darren's studio. It has different types of lighting, yellow lighting and white lighting, so you can actually adjust with it and play with it. Because it has batteries, you can actually be outside as opposed to just being in your studio, etc. Like make sure that you're 60 feet away from another person, before you do that. But anyway, and here's another tool. I'm going to. I know this is going to be weird, but I'm going to show you a tool I have in terms of my laptop. I mean, in terms of what holds my laptop. So this is a little table that adjusts up and down.
Yes.
And I love this thing. So I can, again, I can just adjust easily. I can go here, I can go there. Plus, now I have a place for my notes. I have my notepad right here. I've got my iPad right here. Everything's on my desk right now. So these are just some other tools with regard to that. Any other tips with regard to equipment going online? Kevin.
Real quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
So come here, stand next to me, Darren, but don't touch me because you just sneezed in your hand. Put your face straight. Put your face absolutely straight. No, just stand up straight. You're leaning into the camera. All right, now you see how Darren and I both have a little bit of this going under our chins?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. But if I come around here and I take Darren's light and I move it up and I point it down on us just a little bit, suddenly that falls into shadow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You guys are like 10 years younger.
Could I get the top part of my face go into shadow?
Now you look at Darren, his little thing there has disappeared. It's all shadow under his chin now. I still got a little bit of mine, right? But I don't want you guys seeing that. You know, that's an old fat guy who's lost weight. Yeah, so what I do, now watch this. I'm going to magically make it disappear. Are you ready?
Leaning in. Wow.
Now, how do I look now?
Yeah, it's gone.
Now this
Scary.
this is what I did. I was standing like this, right? And then I simply turtled.
Ed, that's a keeper. Turtle. Write that down.
Okay, everybody write that down. That's a keeper.
Turtle.
By the way, do that in pictures as well. So anytime you take a picture, if you happen to have that, always go forward and down.
Yeah.
Actors do it all
Forward
the
and up.
time.
All right.
Yes.
And you know who does it a lot? If you ever happen to see a profile shot of President Trump when he's on camera, he does this all the time. He stands like this when you see him in shadow. He's like got his butt stuck out and he's got his face pushed way forward because it works. Makes you look good.
All right. Mark Brown, you had a tip.
I was going to say, until you can afford to get real fancy lighting, Darren told me to get a lamp with settings. And I did two things. One, I have those regular light bulbs in my workspace, but I get the daylight light bulbs. So the whole place is more brightly lit. And my lamp has two settings. One that cascades up towards the white ceiling and the light kind of cascades out. I have a gooseneck also that I can manipulate. If I do it too badly, I got this really wild, crazy, shiny face here trying to avoid. So I modify and adjust that. I point down sometimes, I point up sometimes, but I don't want to get either too bright or too dark. You play with it, you manipulate it, but I find having 3 daylight light bulbs in my office with a white wall, it tends to brighten the whole room. I also have windows over there. I open the blind, shades up, and the sun comes through, more light. You can manipulate that without being overly expensive until you can afford to get right equipment. And Darren sent me a Yeti microphone. That's this one right here, which is a professional level microphone with a pop filter here, and it really makes me sound good. So until you can afford to get better equipment, you can still be creative until that time comes. But because of the times you're in, I agree. Get better equipment because you may be doing more presentations in this format going forward. So thank you, Darren. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to switch subject, and I'm going to take this over to Ford. So Ford, you got a tip for us? Appreciate it. And let's talk about business-wise, because I always say this. There's always someone suffering in silence in our audiences, but right now it's our customers, our clients, in addition to ourselves that could be suffering. So with regard to right now, what are your top business suggestions and tips?
Well, as a premise for that, a preface or premise, one of the two, I've been spending 6 to 7 hours a day on Zoom for the past week and a half. I mean, if I show you my schedule, I've been on 3 Zoom meetings this morning. I've been on strategic meetings with NSA, with their board. I've been on Zoom with associations and brands. And basically what I'm referring to is I've been getting a lot of information from a lot of different sources related to how do people still do business in today's day and age, and what should we expect? So I want you to know that what I'm about to share isn't just, okay, this is what I think. This is what I'm hearing out there. I was just on with the top CEOs from community banks, and they're all worried about people drawing out cash and should they shut their lobbies and what do they tell their customers, and a host of other things that I was literally just on to cancel off to come to this Zoom. So let's get clarity around this. First, we have to be the voice of reason in the marketplace, and we have to stop perpetuating the pandemic. I'm not, again, I was late getting in because the Zoom link was, I was on a wrong Zoom link, but I want, if you're going to focus on this, you know, like Ed said, I think I caught just the end of it is, you know, this is the time to talk about how you can help and be of service, not just continue the
Doom and gloom.
COVID. All right. So let's just leave that as the first thing. So next is, you really want to ask yourself, are you going to work virtually with your team? And do you have a team? You know, if you have employees, some of you do, I do. But more importantly, how can you still conduct business? Well, as a speaker, author, trainer, consultant, or bureau, it's really important to let people know that you're still here and how you can help. So one of the things I've got is videos going out to all the bureaus, including you, Jennifer, to say, hey, I'm available for virtual presentations. I'll waive my fee, or I'll do it for a low fee, because right now I just want to help these people get through it. So I'm becoming a service for the bureaus. The bureaus can put me out to their list and say, you know, if you want an expert on sales and marketing during this troubled time, you know, you can have Ford Saeks. Here's the link. And then it makes Jennifer look like the hero for suggesting me. It builds goodwill, and there's no shortage of companies who are struggling with what to do. So whatever area of expertise you have, the tip is, how can you communicate that not only on social media, but to your list, but then who are the influencers that you can partner with to get that message out? So for me, being a speaker, you know, obviously bureaus are my partner. I want them to promote me out to their list, but not to sell anything right now, just to be of service. So I think it starts with really understanding what your value is, and then looking for opportunities to help. I mean, if you look at the news, every night on the news, there's a news story about how a business, last night I was watching, and it said that a brewery, I can't pronounce it, but you get it. They make beer. Brewery, they decided to change their whole operation to make hand sanitizer because they worked with alcohol. They were able to convert their whole operation. Well, now they're bottling it and they're selling it to other bars and businesses so that they can generate revenue. So they're keeping their employees busy. So it's times like this where you really have to be creative, and you can either listen to, you know, it's the old good wolf, bad wolf story. You know, you can either feed the good wolf and focus on asking better questions. What can I do? How can I add more value? Who do I need to connect with? And that's really the key. If you just ask better questions, or to your group or to the mastermind, you're going to get answers. There's no shortage of opportunity going out right now. There's plenty of opportunity, especially for us. We're more needed now more than ever. When I say I'm talking about the people on this community. We're more needed now than we were 2 months ago. And it's just a matter of being comfortable with doing it. So as we go through this webinar, I want you to really think about three things. It's really mindset. You know, it's mindset, it's marketing, and then it's technology. How do you leverage the power of the technology effectively? So someone like Darren and I and Ed and everybody here, basically, you know, we do a lot of Zoom meetings. So we're used to what to do, what not to do. And we've learned the lessons along the way. And like Mike said, yeah, you might make some mistakes, but you're better off getting out there and being in front of your customers right now and helping. So whether you're doing live events like what we're doing now, recorded events, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, now's the time to be visible out in the community. So my question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your visibility right now? Are you visible? And it depends. Some of you are newer to the industry. Fine. Now's the perfect time for you to share. If you're working from home and you have a full-time job and you join Stage Time because you're looking at this for a community, now's the perfect time to build reputational equity. And Ed, I'll be done in about a minute just so I can give you a time frame for the next question. But building reputational equity means, how do you give content that's valuable to your marketplace? So for me, it's business growth. For Darren, it's going to be this. For Mike, it's going to be this. And Ed and you know, for Irvine and Kim, I'm looking at the list of attendees that we have. And Albert, you know, you guys are all on these meetings that we have. What are you doing to build reputational equity? How are you showing you're doing it in what you're doing, as opposed to telling people? Are you going live on LinkedIn? Are you going live on Facebook? Are you recording it? Are you offering free Zoom webinars? I mean, come on, look at your inbox, everybody. I would venture to guess that every single one of you, at least that I'm looking at on the cameras, is getting 4 or 5 webinars a day because everybody's home and they're all trying to jump on webinars. And so you really have to ask yourself, what are you going to do that's different? What are you going to say that's different? How do you differentiate yourself and stand out? I'm actually working on a PowerPoint presentation behind my Zoom when I get off camera here on 3 things: the technology that needs to be used, the mindset, and then how do you manage remote teams? Because my clients are all sending their employees home and they don't know how to manage them. And so they're struggling with, well, what do they do? And so I've got tips that I've collected on, okay, here's what you need to do. So I'll stop there, but I would just say, now's not the time to panic. Now's the time to be building your tribe, to be building your influence, to be adding value, to be of service, because as it does turn around, which I'm hoping will be, no one knows, right? But now's the time not to let the bottom fall out and stop. Now's the time to lean in harder.
Thank you for it. I appreciate that. I just want to follow up with a couple things here. Be visible. I'm a guerrilla marketing certified coach, and one of the things they say is during bad times, that's the time you double down on marketing. The companies that go invisible, and when good times return, people think, "Oh, you're still in business," So now's the time to keep the message out. Be creative. I live in a golf course community. It's kind of remote, and the restaurants here, even though they can't have people, they're actually delivering food, and they're also giving people free hand sanitizer and a roll of toilet paper. All right, so be creative, or do something different, if you will. And then Ford also said, ask better questions. The best type of questions to ask are what and how questions toward your goal. What or how questions? Why questions have a tendency to go into a death spiral. Why is this happening to me, etc. Guess what? You don't want to go in that direction. You want to go like what we call true north. So what or how questions help you to go true north. They help you go in the direction of your goal. Darren.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on what was just said, that in 2001, when September 11th happened, some of our mentors, Ford, Ed, Mark, some of our mentors in the speaking business, they didn't adapt and they went away and we didn't hear from them again. The people who did adapt and did adjust is exactly the opposite. They repositioned themselves in the new normal, that they became the go-to expert. And I'll pass you in for 1 second. In 2008, when the same thing happened, and this is going to be better, worse, whatever, we got to deal with it. And then one more thing, Ford, I'll pass it to you. Mark Eaton, who is one of the game changer experts that will be with us at the event, he actually in 2008, when all that was going on, he realized he couldn't get himself booked. So he said, if I can't get myself booked, I'm going to make myself better. So he came to one of our boot camps and we introduced him to NSA. We helped him find his story. So he was smart enough to say, look, if I can't get booked, I might as well work on my skills and get better. And I think that's what we all need to do. Ford?
Yeah, I just want to echo that it's really about being relevant. 2008 was one of our best years. Of course, we're an agency, so it made sense. People came out of the woodworks to get marketing. Right now, we're busy. It's just like certain industries exceed. But it's from a speaking standpoint, and I've been with the $1 Million Speakers Group yesterday and the NSA Strategic. I've got speakers that are freaking panicking. And of course, Jennifer, as a bureau, I'm sure, with Dan and everything else, this too. I mean, I've got people that lost 20 bookings at 20 grand just overnight. I've got bureaus that are calling saying we want our deposit back, and customer, the speaker's trying to decide, well, do I give it back? And I'm saying give it back, because if you don't, you're never going to get booked again. I realize you're going to lose the money in the short term, but you're going to kill yourself in the long term. So, I think now's a chance where I think as an action step, since we're all about action steps here, I think everybody here needs to make sure that you have a Zoom account or GoToMeeting account or whatever program you're going to use to present meetings. Number 2, get the camera, get set up, and start doing some meetings with, if you're not comfortable, start practicing with other Stage Time University members, with the community. You can go on Facebook Live or go to Facebook and get some members. And I'm sure there's lots of people right now that would love to jump on with you, set them up as a co-host, and get used to using the platform. I think it's really important. And then the other thing is, I want you all to schedule a webinar. Who cares if 2 people show up? even if it's a Zoom meeting, you can do a meeting with up to 300 people. The problem is everybody comes in with their mic on. So you could, if you're not paying for the webinar level, you could still do it. You get 20 people on there, you just mute them all and keep going. But now's the time for you to be positioned as someone who's giving value. So as an action step, I'd say get the equipment, and by next Friday, I'd want you all to do a webinar. Promote it to your list, promote it on social media. Hey guys, I'm getting a lot of questions around this. Join me for 30 minutes. I mean, do something short. You don't have to do an hour. Join me for 30 minutes. It's a flash briefing. We're going to have a town hall. We're going to have open office hours, and you can join us and ask us any question you want, which is what we're basically doing here. We're doing a flash briefing, town hall, open office. We're saying, hey, we're going to get our coaches together. We're going to give you some great content, and then we're going to answer your questions. Darren?
And Ford, piggyback on that, on New Year's Day last year, I had the flu. I was sick as a dog. I had nothing going on. But New Year's Day, I said, you know what? I need to learn Zoom. So I sat there. I watched every Zoom video. I got an account. I did and practiced all day long while I was sick in bed. But I was like, I'm going to figure out Zoom. It gave me time to focus. That's exactly what Ford is saying. Like, if you can't do anything, you could go binge watch or you could get better. Ed?
All right, so in a moment, Jennifer, I'm gonna swing it over to you in terms of like what speakers can do, et cetera. Because Ford talked about a lot of people, in my mastermind, in one day between us, we lost 15 gigs. So I'm gonna throw it to you in a moment, but I want to check in with Mike. Mike, what are some questions that people have for us?
Before questions, Ford was kind enough to put a link in the chat box on how to get a Zoom account. And then Irvine mentioned that NSA members have a fantastic deal for enhanced Zoom membership. So keep that in mind. Two questions that I saw is, Ed, is it possible to share the brand name of the battery operated light you mentioned?
Darren, what's the name of that light? It is Neewer. 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 If you go on Amazon, they have various.
Yeah, I think I got a package of 2 lights.
I have a package of 2 lights.
Yeah, they have daylight and white light, so you can actually adjust both. They also work on battery as well. Thank you for doing that, Ed. And I think it's $115 or something like that on Amazon.
And if you're setting up the light, if you have the ability to control color in your light, don't go with the white setting, because the white setting in an LED package is white and blue. You will look like a corpse, okay? Take your color slightly amber. Everybody looks better if the light is slightly amber.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And one other question was, can you help me with the glare from my glasses? That was from Edith.
I got something for that. Take your glasses off, because this is extremely important. I want to talk about the composition of our various shots for a moment. Mike and Ford and Jennifer are here. Step out for a second. There are right in the middle. Their face is right in the middle of the screen. Okay. Everybody has too much what we call a negative space above their head.
Headroom.
Yeah, way too much headroom. Also, if you're right in the middle, it isn't as effective as if you are slightly off to the side, as Ed is. And Ed has that whiteboard in the back, and we're like, ooh, Ed's going to write something important on that whiteboard. And of course, he better. Otherwise, we're like, what the heck's the whiteboard for? So if you use the rule of thirds, if you divide the screen vertically into thirds, I'm having to do this backwards, this is weird, vertically into thirds, position yourself on the screen right third and get rid of the headroom and come in closer. Take your glasses off and look into the camera. Because when you're on camera,
Nice job, Jennifer.
when you're on camera, it's all in your eyes. Everything is in your eyes.
Eyes have it.
Yeah, my friend Brad Slate calls it caressing the camera. He's a soap opera actor.
I see nose hairs. Okay, good. Jennifer. All right. So, your bureau, you're on both sides of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice do you have for us as speakers out there today?
So I have a few things. Thank you for throwing it to me for a few minutes. And on the technology side, so on the Zoom, on doing something virtually, and a lot of people are scared about that. What I say to you is just start, because as you do it, and as you do it more and more, you'll get better. It might be super uncomfortable the first time for you if you're not used to it. People who are, speaking constantly, or maybe have been on camera before, it's super easy for us to, swing over to that side and do this. But and I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm close. Because I do like looking at everybody. I know I should be looking at the camera, but it's still like, just do what you think that you can. I mean, just start. Don't worry about, and implement all the rules and all the tips that you're hearing here, but just start and just, get better at it, because you will get so much more confidence as you keep moving forward. So that's one thing, because people are always so afraid to do it right, and so they never start. And the one thing that I've learned about my husband, who is a speaker, every time he takes on something new, he doesn't know all the right things, but he certainly gets better over time. And then he's great after a certain amount of time, and everybody else is just starting, waiting to get started to do it perfect. So just do it. And I promise you, people will be forgiving, because your message is great and what you have to say is great. And as long as you bring your personality, you're going to be wonderful, and you'll get better as you go. So that's one thing. On the business side, a couple of things here. So I will say, this is the time to practice and prepare. This is the time to sharpen your skills. This is the time to look into everything that you've been wanting to do for yourself and for your business, and do it. Take the time, rather than, connect socially, and make sure that you have time to connect with people just as you would as if we were in a normal situation. But take some of that downtime and work on your craft and your skill, so that when things do pick up and get back to somewhat normal, whatever that will be, and it will, you're going to be ready. When I was in entertainment, and we would have times, this is somewhat normal for me, so in an odd sense. So I would be in a show, a long running show, and all of a sudden we get noticed that the show is canceled. And so we would all be out of work and nothing. I mean, it takes a while to audition and to wait for a show, there to be a position in a show. And so we would have to figure out what to do next and where to go. And then we'd have to market and connect and see what was available. And the most important thing that we did during that time, if we were off for 2 or 3 months, was sharpen our skills, because we didn't always have time to do it when we were performing, because our bodies were tired, we were tired, things of that nature. But we would go when we did have that time to rest and really work on us, is that we would go and go back to dance class, go back to singing class, reevaluate what we were doing. If we're musicians, we were sharpening what we were doing, we were writing new songs, we were creating new material. This is a great time to do that. It's a wonderful time, and people are available. So reach out to other people and, talk about your keynote. Maybe you can work on that, or whatever your content is. Just really work on sharpening you and doing that. In fact, my husband, who's the speaker, Darren LaCroix, he is now writing new content. He's dialing down on things that, really the intrinsic things of his keynote, and how to make it better and sharper and more impactful. And so maybe he didn't have the time to do that before, because life was going and we were busy and things were happening, and, he had his content, he'd go out there and do it, but now he's really breaking it down. And this is what I implored to everybody here, is that it's the little things that make the big difference with what you're doing and how you're presenting. Being a part of organizations or situations like this, where you can learn more and get down into the intrinsic things that you don't think is impactful, but are. Things like how you're presenting, what you're doing, your content, your stories, your everything. I mean, Dan, and I'm working with Dan right now, we're dialing down everything and just tearing apart his stories and taking them into a more impactful place. And we have the time right now. And so we're utilizing that. The other thing I have to say is that a lot of speakers are scared. There's no question. A lot of people are scared right now. But one of the things that I love that the guy said is obviously asking empowering questions, not only to the people around you, but also to yourself, the what and how questions. But also on top of that, ask yourself this: if you knew in 2.5 months, this is going to get back to normal and it's going to be rocking, what would you do right now to make yourself prepared for that time? So, looking at that, like if you knew everything's going to be back to normal and everything's going to be fine in 2 or 3 months, what would you do right now to make that possible? Because it gets you into a whole different place, knowing that in 2 or 3 months, it's going to be back to normal and it's going to be rocking because people are going to pick back up. We're going to have to. On the other side, on business, so yeah, we've lost a lot of gigs. We've lost a lot of dates, but they have not been in the way our contracts read. And that's what I've been talking about to some other colleagues, is that the way our contracts read, they're not cancellations, they're reschedules. Look at your contracts and reevaluate those, how you work with your clients directly, and or if you have bureau partners, they're going to take care of you. Our bureau contracts are pretty ironclad, and so even a force majeure, there is no cancellation, there's only a reschedule. That's how it works. And remember that people want your information. They want the content that you have, and so you can with confidence do something like that because they're hiring you and your intellectual property. So remember to keep that with you. And I know that we can possibly share some of those terms and see what you guys, Darren and Ed, want to do with that. I'm happy to share my information, but really work on protecting you moving forward. Luckily, a lot of speakers who have lost the immediate dates are rescheduling for the fall and for the spring. I will tell you this, I have clients that are still reaching out to me and wanting to book speakers. I just signed 3 contracts last week. Go figure. But everybody's moving forward. They have to. So they're meeting planners. That's what they do. Their clients are optimistic about what's happening in the fall and in the late summer. So business is still out there. And the last thing I have to say about this is, and this is something that I'm doing, and this is something that I suggest that you do, reach out to your past clients or your past inquiries or your past connections and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Would love to, how can I help you? What can I do? I'm not selling you anything. I just want to reach out and say hi, have a 5-minute, 10-minute phone call or video chat and say, your expertise. How can I help you in this time? I have a lot of expertise in meetings and events. And so I can call them and say, hey, what can I do for you? How can we work on this? Maybe we can work on something for the future. How can I serve you right now? And you better believe that by reaching out, because I've done that several times, people are blown away that you would take your time right now in this crazy world and offer that to somebody else. They will remember that. It's almost like calling somebody and saying, even somebody you don't know very well, and saying, how you feeling? I saw that you're not going through, you're going through the surgery or whatever. Just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you and, want to give you my thoughts and prayers or whatever. So just reaching out to your past clients or past potential clients and your past, your contacts, even if they're not, your best friends, reach out and say, hey, make a phone call, not just an email, send an email, but, make a phone call. I just want to say hi. And, I'm here for you. Happy to jump on the call for, 10, 15 minutes to serve you in any way I can. So you'll see great returns on that. And I'm seeing that already. So.
Okay. Jennifer, thank you. Let's see. Here's what I heard you say. Progress, it's progress, not perfection with regard to getting on webinars. Practice and prepare and sharpen your skills right now. By the way, this is a shameless plug for Stage Time University. This community is a great place for you to practice and sharpen your skills. Okay, this is a place. Tell your neighbors you're in the right place. All right. People are scared, and by you reaching out to them and saying, hey, how can I help? Like I said before, the top of the hour, helping is the new selling. And not just asking for business, but basically just helping people. Just saying, hey, how can I help you, etc. Here's a surprise. I actually reached out to the people who canceled my gigs. I called them back. How can I support you? You talk about people being blown away. So again, it's all about helping. It's all about service. I saw a hand. Is that Kevin?
Yeah. So before you take the Ford Challenge and have a webinar by Friday, set up your camera and light rig, whatever it's going to be. Get it into a nice place. Like I like Mark's. Mark's is really cool because it's, there's books, he studies, he reads. I like Ed's. It's kind of spare, but Ed's going to give us some great content on that thing. Set it up and practice. All right. Record yourself and watch it back a bunch of times. Make small changes. Now, Jennifer, I don't mean to criticize you, but I'm going to use you as an example.
Sure.
Jennifer's got that big mirror behind her and that big glare flare coming off of Marilyn Monroe right there. Now, I know that Jennifer can set it up to look perfect, and she just kind of jumped in for this way because we all expected to be here live, didn't we? But these are small tweaks that you can make that will make your first webinar look really, 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 really good. And record yourself and practice before you go live.
A couple other things that Jennifer has said. Again, practicing your skills. There's this book that I got an advanced copy of. It's by a guy by the name of Benjamin Hardy. It's called Personality Isn't Permanent. And he says, I'd like you to identify what your future self, a future self is like, where are you going to be at the end of 2020? Where are you going to be at the end of 2030? Where would you like your life to be? And behave that way today. Does that make sense? You know, so what you're doing is by practicing and sharpening your skills, you're going to be into you're going to transform into your future self. Other thing, one other thought I just want to talk about just business-wise is cash flow. Cash flow is both king and queen right now. And from a monetary standpoint, I think one thing that we need to maybe discuss is like, how can you expand your, I'm hearing that, we've got to be in a position where you possibly don't get any gigs for 6 months or so. So how can you be in a position to maximize your cash flow? There are certain things that you can do with regard to that. There is this, I'm looking up this legal term. There is, oh man, hold on for a second here, sorry. You can actually go to, like, for example, I've actually gone to some of my credit card vendors and say, hey, can you cut my interest rate? American Express just cut mine to like practically zero. This is, hey, don't even worry about it. I have a health club that I go to. They said, hey, we're not charging anything. Don't even worry about it, et cetera. So go to all your vendors, all the people that, divide your expenses into fixed expenses and variable expenses. Eliminate as many variable expenses as you possibly can right now. I mean, you can always check into those later on, but eliminate as many as those. And then for each one of your fixed expenses, like for example, your mortgage. So if you find yourself in a position where you can't pay your mortgage, talk to them, communicate with them right now. So again, in my opinion, one of the most important things we can do just from a not only business standpoint, but a life standpoint is to maximize our cash flow. Okay.
And
All right.
hey, I got a quick. I know Gary McKenzie on, Mike Davis. Okay, you're muted, Mike. But anyway,
yeah, he's on.
Gary, I thought of you, Gary. Small business needs you more than ever. So just using him as an example, Gary, put out on Facebook or something, what questions do you have in small business? What concerns do you have in small business? And answer them. Like, do a video for each one of the different questions, but be online, take questions. Small businesses now are freaking out like never before. Gary, you are in such a great position to help them, as Ed's saying, just see how you can help them. And that's going to position you on the other side as the go-to expert even more than now. Ford?
The technical phrase is called forbearance programs. So check with both your credit cards, your mortgages, et cetera. See if they have a forbearance program now before you need it. Okay, Ford.
No, I was just going to, first of all, great content from Ed on the action steps. So we're getting lots of action steps here today. And one of the things that I'm doing for the community banks is I'm offering to do a virtual presentation for their customers. So, look at who are you reaching that you could be of service to someone who's having trouble right now, and you could become a strategic partner for them. So for example, if I'm just literally made this up when I looked at Jennifer, if Jennifer said to her clients, I don't even use Jennifer. Let's just use someone else. Someone in retail. Well, because I didn't want it to be like a shameless plug. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I want you guys to look at who do you serve, and who do you serve that has customers that now is being challenged, and how can you be the partner that you could say to them, hey, I know you're struggling right now to connect and engage your customers, like Orange Theory. The gyms are all closed, right? They're the joint, the chiropractic, they're all closed. And so if you can provide value to their customers, they'll promote it. They'll send out a newsletter that says, hey, I know a lot of you are working from home right now. We've partnered with Ford Saeks. He's going to do 40 minutes on how to have effective, work from home effectively, or whatever the topic is that you guys want to cover. And then you're actually helping their customers, not just them. So look at the second line is what I want to refer to is look at the primary. Who do you really do business with? But then who do they do business with that if you offered a solution and they promoted it, that now you're going to get huge goodwill. You're getting goodwill with all the people, the company, but you're also getting with all of their people because, again, you're experts. And, again, you do a webinar, you have the platform, you send them a link, they'll just promote it out and say, hey, join Ford when he talks about business growth in challenging times, or how to increase digital sales, or whatever it is you want to talk about.
Okay. All right, let's check. Mike, let's check in.
A couple
questions.
Yeah, a couple of comments and a question. First of all, Gary McKenzie, Ed, he loved your advice. And Darren, he said he will do what you suggested. Irvine Nugent said one thing he did is reached out to his clients and gave them a list of leadership resources like articles and videos on leading in times of crisis, and got a tremendous response. And the question from Sarah Ivy is, can we have more tips on how to sell your message to an invisible virtual audience?
Okay. All right.
I can help you, but I'll let those go first.
I've got some.
All right. So, Mark, I want to check in with you with regard to stories. Okay. You talked about story finding. This is a great time for story finding. So elaborate there.
Well, because, we hear so much about what's happening negatively. But in the midst of all of this, there are good things going on. There are teachers who get together to make sure that kids who are on free reduced lunch can still get served without relying on the government to do it for them. We find people taking initiative. I know there are elderlies who can't go to the grocery store. I'm going to go for them. We hear about stores where blocking their hours, going to block first 2 hours is only for the elderly, and people get together in our neighborhood. Who needs help? Okay, Miss Johnson over here can't go to the store. We'll get a list for her. We'll go shop for her. We're hearing these goodwill stories of people who are almost offering sacrificially for other people, but we don't hear enough about them. We hear negative going on. Let's find those good stories. If we've been recipient of a blessing, let's share that. If we found a way to bless, let's share that also. Let's also be creative. Not just having the story to tell, but if a story inspires you to act, then act in that way as well. One more thing. Love the idea, I'm off topic here, about practicing to record yourself and doing your live webinar. But if we can record short videos and just give them away and offer them to our existing clients, a short video on performance and enhancement, or how to perform well under pressure, whatever may be your area of expertise, give that away. And that in itself becomes a positive story. Ed, you said you offered to help and they were blown away. That's a positive story to uplift us. Let's share those not only to our clients, but as you said earlier, if we can put them on platforms like LinkedIn and like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, so we can all not only find the positive, but share the positive, and that becomes how we are seen within not only the industry, but in our social world as well, as not being those who are panicking, those who are finding ways to help, finding ways to serve, sharing stories that lift people up, being inspirational in word and in deed, and that way we're serving our community, not just our constituency in terms of business. So I would encourage everyone who's here today and watching the video, think in the last week or two of one positive, positive, uplifting experience you have had, or story you have heard within your neighborhood, within your social circle, that really lifted you, inspired you, or one blessing you received. How can you share that with the world and so inspire others? Find at least one and share it in some way.
I got a story. I just found out this morning that technically I'm a senior. All right. I had to show an ID at Whole Foods this morning to prove that I was like above a certain age.
Yep.
So I'm there with my wife. I says, honey, I can't get you in the club, but I can get you in the Whole Foods. Okay. I mean, there's a story right there.
I am
There's
1 year
nothing that
short.
says I love you like when your wife gets you an N95 mask. Okay?
There you go.
I love you. Followed with gloves. Okay? So like when her birthday is in November, I'm going to get her a circular saw. So these are some stories. Kevin.
Yeah, I'm 1 year short of being a senior. But that also means I've got 12 months where my mortality rate is going to be half of what yours is. So there. What I've been doing on my Facebook page is I'm not complaining about stuff anymore. I'm not posting any political rants. I'm not bragging on anybody at this point. What I'm doing is writing and curating humor and putting it on there. And some of it has to do with what's going on. Some of it doesn't. I'm also posting only good news. Like, for example, the Metropolitan, and this is piggybacking off of what Mark said. I posted that the Metropolitan Opera is now offering free streaming operas. Indiana University has just digitized all of Orson Welles' radio broadcasts from 1936 to 1948. Everything Orson Welles did on the radio is available for free at orsonwelles.indiana.edu. So I'm only posting good news and humor. And if you want to snag some of that humor off my Facebook page, it's Kevin Burke Online. My picture is me doing this. That's my physical distancing picture. So if you want to come in and snag something off of there and share it with your friends and family just to brighten the day, please go ahead.
Ford mentioned earlier that he has, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Ed, for your story, when you just said you called the client that canceled and they were blown away, what did they say? How can you say it in dialogue? Just for everyone. I'm just trying to get those antenna up. Yeah, they were blown away. It's a great story, but I would love to hear the words they used or something like that. And this is for everyone and a reminder to myself too. And just thinking of like that Smith story, if you are out and about, why not do a Facebook Live and interview someone who's managing Smiths, and what inspirational stories did somebody help the little old lady? We heard somebody helped Ed. So what could we be the reporter of good and inspiration? Ed?
Well, Whole Foods, it actually felt like the club. I felt like a VIP because like there were like a lot of younger people. This is the exact opposite, reverse of, actually going to a club. You have the young people who can get in, and it's the old people, they never let in. But in this case, I had my AARP card, and I was able to get in, and like I was able to wave at the young people. But anyway, I want to go back to Ford, because Ford talked about, that he's got some very specific tips as to what we can do right now. Ford?
Well, the specific tips, I mean, it's what we're all talking about. I would just say, to just echo, you really need to look at your business model right now. Now more than ever, you need to have digital learning. One of the clients that we're working with right now, strictly, they do about 100 dates a year, and they're panicking. They lost tons of, everything got pushed off. They were doing about 20 events a month, and they just lost it all. And I said, why don't you have a virtual training program? Oh, well, and they gave me all the reasons why they don't. And I said, well, what are you doing? You're not booked for the next 30 days. And so we worked up a curriculum for them, the modules. I told them, look, you only need 10 or 10-minute segments. Like, you don't need 6 hours worth of content. You need shorter pieces of content that they can get through so they feel like they can actually accomplish it, and they actually have a sense of accomplishment. There's a whole strategy around developing online training, but that's what I told them. I said, look, you need to be looking for multiple ways to deliver your content, not just virtual meetings. I mean, yes, we're on a virtual Zoom meeting right now, and this is great, but for some people, you need to have a digital product that you could then go back and say, here's what it is. So we had this one lady, we created a product for her, and it was, I think it was 6 modules, 6 PDFs, and all digital, delivered through her website, through a membership area, and she's selling it for $347 for an individual, $39.97, I think, up to 25 people for an enterprise license, and if they have 50 people, it's $5,500. And she's already made 6 sales. Now, it's not about capitalizing on the coronavirus. That's not what I'm talking about, guys. I'm talking about what content do you have and how can you sell it? I mean, yes, it's important to be of service and give away things for free, but this is also, revenue cures all problems. Okay. So if yes, I believe you should be of service, but you need to be feeding yourself and your kids and your dog and cat or whatever else you have. So I would say, as a specific action step, what's the program that you could create and how would you deliver it, live or otherwise, where you could have an individual and then maybe an enterprise license? But it depends on your model. If you're B2B, you want an enterprise license. If you're B2C, like to individuals, then you're not going to have that. You're just going to have an individual price. But I would say that Ed, if that's what you're asking.
No, and also price it and package it. Price it and package it. So you're not being a bad person if you ask for money. Okay.
Well, so I'll just cover pricing super fast.
Yeah.
Whatever price you have, multiply it by 3, because a third needs to go back into your business, a third goes to taxes, and a third goes in your pocket. So, and this is the same for speaking fees. I'm only going to charge $1,500. Okay, fine. That's $500. So you need to just divide it by 3, because again, whether you pay a third in taxes or a third goes in your business, mentally, it'll help you get over that hump of I need to charge more. Mark Brown. Okay, so I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. I get it.
I'm complimenting him. He's valuable. He's just not charging what he's worth. Okay, but let's go back to the pricing. So one, always price based on value. You want to check the competition, but you really want to check on value, and you want to be seen as a unique element, not a commodity. And the best way to do that is with your pricing. Why is his pricing higher? Why, like my fees aren't that high. Jennifer knows what my fees are. There's clients that admit speakers at 10 times my fee. And I think, I'm really doing good at 15 to 25 grand. I've got clients that are booking out at 100 grand and 60 grand. And, so it's not about the money, it's about the value. So all of us, regardless of whether you're new, a 5-figure, 6-figure, or 7-figure earner, you really want to look at, how do I take this content, repackage it, repurpose it for how people want to consume? Because I really believe, and what I'm hearing is, when this does turn back around, the whole way of meetings are going to change. The millennials are already wanting to change how meetings are done now. They're already wanting shorter meetings. They don't want old white guys. There's already a shift going on now, and this pandemic is going to make it even harder for the old model of a keynote for 60 minutes. I'm not saying they're still not going to do it. They are. It's going to come back. But how the meetings are going to be delivered are going to change from now on. I'm hearing it from everybody across the world, from smart people and from the bureau side. So how are you going to be positioned for that change? Digital content for sure, video content for sure. Now's a chance. You've never had an opportunity like this where you could be a podcast guest, or like Darren, create a podcast. Now's the time to put yourself out there as positioning to build your footprint more than ever. It's what I'm working on effectively. Yeah, Darren, back to you. And Ed, did that help? Ed, was that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. And there is a Hall of Fame speaker. His name is Jay Baer, and
Jay's a friend of mine. Yeah.
And and he has this thing. He said, he used to have a webinar. Now he has something, and this is his copyrighted material. So don't steal this.
Right.
All right. He calls it a webinar. And that is, he's divided this content into 4 9-minute webinars, and again, his customers are liking that. So this is going to Ford's point, is to make shorter presentations. Who else was speaking?
Yeah. So
Aaron.
Mark Brown and I did a webinar yesterday, and it was one of our best webinars in terms of sales conversions in a year, which, is telling. So Mark and I are going to experiment. We're going to take our 2-day live workshop on unforgettable presentations, and we're going to switch it next week. We're going to try a 2-day virtual workshop. So we're taking, instead of our 6-week course or our 2-day event, we're taking the same content, repackaging it. So we've been working on the sign up page the past couple of days, but we're going to test it. Test. I don't know how it'll work, and I don't know what the pricing will be. Ford?
I have another quick comment. I mentioned this in stage time during Business Mastery, but really doing a virtual summit right now is really powerful. I mean, in a sense, we're kind of doing that. I mean, we've got 6 panelists here, but a virtual summit would be, okay, join Kevin from 9 to 9:20, where he talks about humor. Jennifer's going to cover how to work with bureaus. Ed's going to talk about growing your business. Mike, how to be, so a virtual summit, people will do it. I was asked yesterday, well, how long is too long for a meet? I literally have a Zoom that I'm jumping back on that started at 7 o'clock this morning, is going to 1 o'clock. And every 45 minutes, they blank the screen out and they say, this is your potty break, go check your phone, get something to eat, stretch your legs. And then they come back and they turn the recording on and they just continue. And there's about 100 people on that. And so it's not the length, it's how engaging. Again, we're not sharing the screen right now because we're doing more of a flash briefing, open office. We're just answering your questions. But if you're doing prepared content, prepare the content, make sure it's interactive, use the breakout rooms, use polls. I like to have the cameras turned on because then I can see who's here. Now it's different in a webinar like this where you don't want the cameras on because it can be distracting from the coaches, but you have that choice. When Darren set this webinar up, he made it so all the attendees came in listen only mode without their cameras. He could have easily turned it on where everybody had their camera on. But if you got 100 people on a line, it gets to be more confusing because you're looking at everybody's background and people don't mute their microphone. It's a nightmare. So yeah, Jennifer, I'm not the host. I'm going to go to Ed. Ed?
Jennifer. No, Jennifer, go ahead.
I have to jump off. So I just wanted to wish everybody luck. I love this community. Reach out as much as you can and be a part of things like this because you're going to get great ideas with everything that you're doing. Sharpen your skills, reach out, work on you. Some great life hacks with what Ed was saying. There's a lot of opportunities right now to save some money. And so reaching out to your people that you work with, your mortgage people, they're doing some wonderful programs right now. So there are resources there. I know a lot of people have that concern. So there is opportunity in this time. And every innovation speaker and disruption speaker that I work with they're like pumping out content right now because there's so much opportunity. And everything that Ford was saying as far as, brilliant, by the way, I wanted to say that as far as going to the companies that you work with that have a lot of clients as well, giving out content to them, oh my gosh, amazing. So there's all these different things you can do. I wish you luck. I would love to be on another situation like this. So I'm available whenever you guys would like to redo this. But I've got some appointments, gotta go.
By the way, Jennifer, super quick before you go, Jennifer, Ford and I are also going to test something new. We're going to do a retreat in August, just 8 speakers, just Jennifer, Ford, me, and those 8. So we haven't even released it yet. You're the first to know. So Jennifer, thanks for being with us. Thanks for all you do. Good luck handling all the challenges.
Thank you. And bye everyone.
Bye, Jennifer.
All right.
And Ed, we have another stealth speaker here who is
Marilyn?
our faculty for Game Changers.
Yeah, I don't know why she doesn't use a webcam. I mean, she's such
Yeah,
a
what's
new
up
speaker
here? Oh, there she
nowadays,
is.
Just hard
Whoa!
to get technology.
All right.
Because I didn't want anybody to say anything about my background today.
That's a Ford thing.
Marilyn, when you're on the camera, no one's looking at your background.
Oh, Ford.
Oh, nice. Nice, Ford.
Nice.
That's good.
I'm not too sure that's true. Marilyn, you have a nice background.
I'm on my laptop today because it's been a crazy morning already. The only thing I want to add to the conversation is don't forget to leave room for grace because we don't know what people are going through.
So true.
Everybody's got some story. I mean, this is the first time in our generation's history where our world is going through something together. And so we don't know what the effect is on their business, their family, their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health. So I just want to add that to the conversation, is to give people some grace during this very, very, it's going to be a great time for some, and for others, it's going to be total devastation. So I thought I'd sprinkle that onto the conversation this morning.
Well, I joked about being at Whole Foods this morning, but every person I encountered who's actually working in that store says, I just said, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you could tell, there was like, they genuinely appreciated that. These people who are out there working in stores and retail and, keeping the stores open so that we can still have access to food, among other things. And the health professionals, give them grace. You know, let them know that you appreciate what they're doing, because they are literally on the front lines.
Yeah.
And I mean, the front physical lines. So
Yeah.
thank you for that comment, Marilyn.
Yeah.
Michael, let's check in.
Yeah, Ed, I'm not sure great feedback from everybody. I don't know that we really answered the question about how to sell your message or present to an invisible audience. And I've got a couple thoughts.
I got that one.
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts. You know, one is it's very difficult. And this is where the first few times you do it, it's really strange because you can't see your audience. You don't see their faces. You can't hear their comments. So the first thing I try to do is check in on a periodic basis. Does that make sense? Is this helpful? Please, and remind them, put questions in the chat box, and you're going to have to stop your presentation more often and check that chat box, but that lets you know that they're in there participating. Remember, we started in the beginning talking about all the distractions you have. Your audience is also distracted by kids, dogs, their desk, and everything going off, and we have to keep them engaged. So that's my thought on that.
So I just did a webinar, online webinar, just about a month or so ago, and a couple things. So let me give you some backstory. So I did a keynote for the American Payroll Association. They asked me to do some content online, but they said, we want you to see how we do it. So they told me to experience this webinar that one of their people were doing, and it was called The Latest IRS Information on Payroll. That was the title of the webinar. I know, I'm living the good life, right? And one of the best webinars I've ever seen. Because I said to myself, oh my God, this is, I'm only gonna watch this for 5 minutes. I was there for the entire 75 minutes from start to finish. The guy was brilliant. I asked him a couple of questions. I said, I'm kind of curious, how many slides did you have? He said, I had 475 slides. Now, it did not seem like 475 slides because the slides came up it was almost like a freaking movie. There was always something different happening on the screen. For example, he said one thing is like, for example, if you have a slide that has 3 bullets, he says, now that became 3 slides. He says, one piece of content on the screen, very short, very specific. If you have anything detailed, one of the requirements was you had to download a handout. This handout was, as you imagine, you know, anything having to do with the IRS, it's pretty hefty. So you had to print that out. So whenever it was necessary to actually go to this handout, it would, on the screen, it would say which page and which paragraph we're going to. So it was constantly moving. It was, you know, and it was like one of the most engaging webinars I've ever experienced. The other thing is, here's a tip, you know, just stand up as opposed to sitting down. Your energy is automatically a lot higher. You can also learn from the late night comedians on YouTube. For example, all the late night shows, they've actually gone with audience free. I've been studying them in terms of what they've been doing because they're completely dependent, like us, they need audiences, but they've been absolutely brilliant at that. In terms of like, they still attempt jokes, and guess what? They actually allow a pause for people to laugh, etc. Right. And then like they say, well, if that joke didn't work, you know, they're playful with the audience. So these are some things that you can do from an experience standpoint. It is the first time I did one of these, I was physically and emotionally exhausted because I'm so used to having this conversation with an audience and you hear absolutely nothing. But again, going back to Jennifer's point earlier, you get used to this. Ford.
So the question is, make sure I'm okay. The question was, okay, how do you sell to an invisible audience? And I think that if you're going to do it where you're not allowing comments, the key is to storyboard out your presentation and ask the rhetorical questions. So you're probably thinking, and then ask the question, and then answer the question. And I know a lot of you, whenever I do a presentation like this, are always asking, how long should videos be? In other words, what you're doing is you're engaging them as the observer because now they're able to observe how you're doing it and they feel like they're part of the presentation. So strategically, your style changes a little bit if you know you're going to be presenting like we are right now, where I'm not seeing everybody's camera. I mean, I can see the people that are actually on the list today, but where I'm not actually looking at their cameras, I'm going to bring up the problem and then I'm going to answer it. And I'm going to bring up the problem, I'm going to answer it, and then I'm going to say, you're probably thinking, it's one of my term phrases like you may be thinking, or you're probably thinking, or I'll say, whenever I present on this subject, people always ask me X, because then that brings them in to say, oh, well, other people have asked this. What's he going to say? So you'll see me do that now that I've told you. You're going to see it because I just do it naturally. I do it when I'm on stage too. If I know I'm going to sell something to the back of the room, I'm going to, throughout my presentation, I'm going to seed my presentation. So it's not so much that it's an invisible audience. It's what are you doing in your presentation to let others know that you have something to sell. So I'm going to give you a couple quick ones right off the top of my head. One, the appetizer model. If you say, if Marilyn says there's 5 things to keep you motivated during these challenging times, but today we're only going to take a look at 2 of them, because now, oh, wait a minute, there's 5. I'm only going to get 2. I know there's more. So it's the appetizer, full meal type deal. Second, hot seats. Darren and I always do hot seats. Why do we do hot seats? Because it brings people in. We look at something live. We're flying without a net. We never know what's going to happen. And it also makes the people in the room go, well, I want them to look at mine. And then obviously time. So the appetizer model, the hot seats, case studies are really good. Like Ed just said, Ed just gave a case study. He said, I presented for the American Paralegals Association. He just gave a case study. So how does that case study relate to how I'm using that as an example, but if he was using it as a selling example, it would have been, I was on this webinar and here's how it was really good. And here's what happened. And you can do it too. So he's using a case study. The next thing would be really seeding up your calls to action, where you're saying, a lot of people are asking me about this. I don't have time to cover that right now. So you do a takeaway. I really want to go into this more in detail, but we really don't have time for that with this short webinar. So here's some quick information. Let's continue. And it all was like, whoa, wait a minute. You didn't give me everything. And these are very strategic things that you can do. They're not manipulative. They're communication. The purpose of communication is the response it elicits. So I just kind of threw out that channel. That could be a whole webinar on its own. Like, how do you sell, virtually? But those are the real strategies that if you watch the masters that sell from stage or sell from Zoom or sell at the back of the room or sell online, and I'm not going to say I'm the top master by any stretch of imagination, but I've certainly, made a lot of money doing that and helping other people do that too. So these are proven things that I've actually used. You guys have seen me do it live. Darren, I know you had a comment, and I think Ed had his hand.
No, I'm just piggybacking on what you said. When Mark and I do the webinar, one of the other tools that I use is video clips. Short video clips, because it changes the modality, and again, keeps people engaged, especially if there's like an underlying music bed. Music just re-engages us. And then sharing, not sharing, not sharing, that again keeps the engagement and keeps it fresh as we go along.
Well, one thing that I think it's also a mindset issue, because there's a lot of people who are afraid of selling. For example, we went to the National Speakers Association Las Vegas chapter meeting, and there was one woman, $1 million speaker, absolutely brilliant, but her thing was not selling in front of the room. She made that very, very clear that that's not her jam. That's not what she does. And if you are selling from the front of the room, or if you're selling online, here's your mindset. You're helping, you're not hawking. Okay. It starts there. You have to have an absolute positive belief in what you do. I don't think anyone will doubt me or Ford in terms of, like, if we have something to sell, we have a complete, absolute belief in that. And we're not going to apologize for it. By the way, that sounds something else. Don't have an apology sell. I went to, back in the day when, with Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker. This is like in the early 2000s. Well, one of the best training programs I went was called Train the Trainer. And there was this woman, her name was Sherry Nori. Singer. Her last name was Singer because she's a sister of Blair Singer. And it was like one of the best training programs. It was a live training program. It was high energy, everything. And then on the last day, by the way, every day we were standing up, every day we were dancing, every day there was music. And then the last day, no music. All of a sudden we're sitting down. She's sitting in a chair on the stage. I thought one of the students had died. Hey, did someone die? Did someone have a heart attack? What's going on here? And she gave the worst apology pitch I've ever seen in my life. She says, well, if you if you want this, it was horrible. I walked up to her and says, I'm so pissed off at you. And she says, why? I says, like, the entire week, the only thing we've been talking about is like, when is she going to, sell this to us? How can we get this? How can we take this home? We're all wondering how much it's going to cost. And then when you gave that apology pitch, you made me doubt you. You made me doubt you. And I still bought whatever we sold, but, and by the way, she got over it. Okay. So I worked with her. We actually did an online program. She sold like $15,000 on the online program a couple of months later. So she's over it. She got healed. All right. But don't apologize. You're helping, you're not hawking. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go to Kevin in a second. The biggest thing with this is, I don't want to repeat what's been said with Ed. You have to believe in yourself, of course. The whole thing here is, if you really have some value, then you're doing your audience a disservice by not offering them something. And that's how I think. And there's always going to be one or two people who are jaded, but most of the time they're jaded, it's because they see you doing something that they want to do. Real quick, I spoke at the Kentucky chapter of the National Speakers Association, 30 people in the room, 10 people bought a $3,000 package. Later, on the guy going to the airport, who also bought a package, by the way, bitched at me because I wasn't willing to give 10% of my sales back to the chapter. And I said, look, I spoke for free. I gave tremendous value. There's no one there that can say that they didn't walk away with reams and reams of action steps. But if they want to work with me directly, they're going to have to pay for it. And so he paid it, but you could just tell he wasn't mad. He actually asked, well, how many did you sell? And I said, look, that's not really the topic here. I didn't tell him. I'm telling you guys I sold 10, and I don't care who all the people are here on the webinar. But, it's not about the money. If you're delivering value, don't be ashamed of offering the value. And I really hope that translates through a book, an ebook. I don't care if you're a Facebook Live, whatever you're doing it to build reputational equity and to also generate a revenue. And if you add value, you should be making a profit. So like Ed asked, what are some power questions? My question is, how can I add more value? It's not, why don't I have any money? It's how do I add more value? Kevin, I think you had your hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And if you're crunchy about selling, which I am, I've got
in the past, Kevin, in the past,
up until now.
Yes, in the past. And Ford has healed me of that at the last yearly get together. But if there's that part of you that's going, and that's fine, that's part of you. Here's a great thing you can do. And Ford, you might want to put your fingers in yours, because this part's going to give you a stroke when I say give away some of your money.
I'm going to record it.
Hook everything you do to a charity. If you're selling something and you put out there, 10% of all of this goes directly to Gleaner's Food Bank, or whatever charity seems to you to be helping out the best in this situation. That takes a lot of the greed factor away from the transaction when people are thinking about doing business with you.
Absolutely. And I do give money back to the chapters. It's not the point. The point was, he was referencing the fact that I made all that money,
Yeah,
It wasn't public. If it would have been public, I would have handled it differently.
Yeah,
but
my point was, I had my point in my mind before you talked, and it was
right.
It was about charitable things and people who are helping, groups that are.
It's very powerful. And I want to echo what he's saying. A lot of our speakers have foundations. They have pages on their website. How do I contribute? How do I give back? What do I support? I give about 6 figures away to charity every year. So I don't want to. I've found that I don't want to publicize it, because then I give it to the NSA Foundation and boys clubs, because I grew up in the foster care. So, but the point is, there's a way to do it where you don't look like you're waving your flag of doing it.
Now, the other thing I'm going to add to that, don't not make a pitch about your product and services, because you can't teach everybody in an hour, in 9 minutes on this platform, etc. You have far more education, resources, etc.
Yeah, and don't get caught up in the semantics of the word pitch either. I call it a pitch, it's a pitch, but if you don't want that word, just say helping.
But don't not do that because you think of someone might complain. that fictitious person who might complain. By the way, people are going to complain about anything that you do. All right. In the audience, there's always three groups of people. Number one, there's the people who will never buy from you no matter what on planet Earth. All right. They will never buy from you. That's one group of people. There's the opposite of that are the people who love you. They'll buy everything from you. And then there's the people who are in the middle who are on the fence. That is what your pitch is for. It's for those people. You're always going to be criticized. You're never going to, if you're in this business and you want to just get happy sheets, you're in the wrong business. And by the way, Mark Sanborn, who's in the Speaking Hall of Fame, he says, our job is not to make people happy. Our job is to, change people's lives. It's to change behavior. It's to make progress. And sometimes we got to piss people off to do that. My first topic when I got into the speaking business, I was the change guy. All right. One of my first big projects was helping the Rocky Mountain News and Denver Post merge, two 100-year businesses that try to put each other out of business. I had to speak to all of them. Nobody was happy to see me. Nobody. Okay. And my job was to help them go through that transition. That's what my job was. Okay. So you don't not do something because you think you might get criticized.
And Darren, I jumped in. Sorry, you raised your hand. Randy Gage was on the thing, and Jay Bear, Jay's a friend. I'm in a mastermind with Jay called Speakers Roundtable. And one of the things he said is, if you're not controversial, if you're not, I might be saying the word wrong, but if you're not creating controversy, if you're sitting in the middle of the road, you're going to get run over. He said, if you don't have haters, you're probably not making an impact. That if you're trying to please everybody, that you need to be comfortable that when you start getting haters, now it doesn't mean you should go out and do something wrong, guys. I'm not giving you license to do that. But I want people to like me. I want people to know I'm an introvert, but I like to have people agree with me. And it took a while to say, okay, be willing to be a little bit controversial.
Rob Becker, when he wrote Defending the Caveman, and for those of you that don't know, it's a one-man play about men and women, how we communicate differently and how those differences cause us to misunderstand each other. The important part is neither side's right, neither side's wrong. We're just different. And he goes humorously through all the differences. Well, I asked him one day, I said, why did you call it Defending the Caveman? Because that's kind of in your face and that's a challenge. He said, because I didn't think anybody would come see Explaining the Caveman.
Nice.
So Darren, I'm checking in with you. How are we doing time-wise?
Well, I want to start getting final questions and final thoughts, but first, Mike Davis, I asked you to kind of be on tap for this. First, Mike, just show the new dates of the event, Stage Time Live, and then I want to go over to the Amazon and show some of the products that we've been talking about. So Mike has that ready to go. So again, Stage Time Live, June 19th and 20th. So if you're on this call, you are already registered for this. If you're watching this recording somehow, you can still join us. You just heard from all the faculty other than Mark Eaton. So just go to stagetimelive.com. If you're on this call, tell your friends, have your friends join us. So we're planning on live in Vegas. If you signed up for virtual and you want to come live, you can switch that up. Just reach out to support@stagetimeuniversity.com. Love to have you. Again, if the world is still crazy, we've got some backup dates in August. So Mike, if we can go over to Amazon. And so, by the way, so if any of the people on any of our faculty have any products that they recommend, by all means, please say it to Mike so he can show everyone. So
and for FTC compliance, we're not making affiliate link payments on this. So these are all just recommendations.
Not at all. This is the only link there's a duplicate of this link, but this is a ring light that you can use to put your camera in the middle. Now there is some comment in the chat box about how to, apparently when you use this, your eyes will reflect the ring light back. So there's a way to offset that with lighting. There's a stream in the chat box.
Yeah, Mike. So I think it was Edith that asked about her glasses. So if you can do it, taking them off, it just makes life simpler. If not, you can stay on Amazon. If not, you can get non-reflective lenses. So I bought or invested in non-reflective lenses, but it's less glare, but it's still there. Mike, if you could put in Audio Technica 2020, USB mic
I can, hold on.
or AT2020, either way. There it is. USB. Yep.
Yeah, it's Audio-Technica AT2020, and then there's the Blue Yeti.
So this is one of them. This is the one I use. The Yeti is the one Mark's using. So I just want to show that. So we're talking not too, and there's the Blue Yeti.
There's the Blue
there
Yeti.
on the right there, Mike.
Yep.
So that's $129. That's what Ford uses. That's what Mark's using. It's got 3 different settings on it too. So you can do a direct setting, as well as we used to use this in the back of the room, and we had an omnidirectional setting on it too. Go into put in newer, the lights that Ed and I use, NEEWER. So you can get a light kit here.
Yeah, bear with me. I'm slow.
We didn't want to bring that up, Mike.
Darren, your mic's on.
Sounds good too, clear.
Nero lights. There you go.
Keep scrolling.
That's the ring one. Where's the regular one?
Put lights as well. I guess put lights and see what happens, Mike. Add the word lights to that.
There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, the kit. That's the kit. The one on the left. That's the one I bought.
This one right here?
Yeah.
The 3-pack?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The 159, the 2-pack in the middle there. So.
Are those?
2-pack.
Do they put off heat, or are they pretty?
No heat. No heat.
Okay, good. Because that's the part I didn't like. The other ones gave too much heat.
Yeah, and it's got 2 different colors of lights. So you can have all white, all the amber, or a combination of both. For all the faculty, any other tools that you think are good that are worth checking out that Mike can call up?
Oh yeah, I got
Yes, we've covered it.
So if you're going to be out making on the spot videos with your phone, there's a Samsung product, and I forget the name of it, but it's a lavalier with a transmitter and then a receiver that just clips onto the back of your phone and plugs into your phone. So you get super good quality lavalier sound directly into your camera, because it overrides the microphone that's in your camera. Makes you sound a bazillion times better.
Yeah, and I actually have that one right there, that Samsung that's right on the screen right there, that USB that's right there. I actually have that. Well, it's one like that. It's one that comes with a headset too, but it's a wireless USB.
Yeah, I'm the second one, the Go Mic Mobile. Samsung Go Mic Mobile.
Cool. All right, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Sharing. So what do you have for anyone have for questions? Sorry, Ed.
No, Mike. Any other questions?
Well,
How to build? Okay, go ahead.
yeah, Debbie got here late. Debbie, we did talk about how to build webinars. We will be making the replay of this available ASAP. You'll be able to pick up a lot of tips from there.
I want to give Marilyn some airspace, and then what I like to do is round robin and final thoughts. Okay. So Marilyn, anything else in addition to Grace? Is there anything you want to share with the community?
Yes, I just want to put a plug in for the training that you're getting from Stage Time University and from Ford. I mean, all these people, they do such great coaching and training, because I've been in this game a long time and I've made mistakes because I've gone to events where I watched them sell from the stage, and then I thought I could convert that to my business. Like the very next day I flew to some home office where I was doing an event for a corporate client who paid me to be there. And I learned not to sell my $20 books. I could sell the $19.95 package. And I completely failed because I thought I could do what they did in the sell from the stage capacity to my corporate client. And it did not translate. you need coaching, you need practice, you need to have a sounding board like all the people on this panel, so you can run by your specific scenario, your situation of who you sell to and what the atmosphere and environment is that you sell to, and adapt it. Nothing is set in stone, and there's no perfectly one way to do everything. So in hindsight, of course, I would have offered my books. I could have sold that entire home office that was attending that session my $20 book, and then I would have had access to them. And then for those who want to work with me further, there would have been an upsell. So I learned that the hard way, not by asking questions of my coaches. I just went and tried to do it myself. So I just want to let your listeners know that you don't have to do any of this by yourself. Every situation is unique. Every situation is going to need some sort of adaptation. So take advantage of this, Darren's group and this whole amazing panel of people to run your situations by, so you can get some good coaching and feedback.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mark Brown, final thoughts.
It's a great chance for us to not only do our first webinar the next week, but think about this: create new content as well. I am beginning to record something that I'm going to put out in the next couple of days, but just begin to record things, not just for the webinar you're doing. We have to, as Ford says, adapt and adopt new ideas, new methods, and new technology. So the goal is to create a video, to create a webinar, double down, and create a new product. It could be a 9-minute video, it could be a little ebook, but your best content in a way we can deliver electronically. I speak to myself first and pass it on to you.
Okay. Mike Davis.
Think back to those first days when you were a speaker and you were nervous and scared to death and you were focused on all the things you did wrong. Speaking online is no different. You're going to make mistakes. Get out there, get yourself bloodied, fall down, get feedback, and keep going. I promise you, it will be worth it. As uncomfortable as it is, you will become seen as an expert in your field because you're willing to get out there and do it.
Okay. Ford.
I would just say now's a perfect time to look at your revenue model. Consider how your business is going to be changed going forward, and look at what we always talk about. Who's your ideal customer? What problems are they solving? What problems are they challenged with that you can solve? And how can you develop the right resource in the right methodology, in the right format, meaning video, audio, membership? Like what's the format that's going to be best consumed? And so I think now is a perfect time afterwards as an action step to get out a piece of paper and mind map out, here's how I make money. Here's my speaking, coaching, training, consulting, affiliate programs. Right now, there's a lot of products you could be out. You'll notice I just posted on Zoom. I am an affiliate for Zoom, and I just posted on Zoom. I made $4,000 last month by promoting BombBomb. And you maybe you don't have the product right now, but maybe there's somebody else's product that you could be promoting that other people don't know about. Because I was surprised that we were on a meeting the other day with a bunch of top speakers in the $1 Million Speakers Group, and several of them, because they're just so dang busy, they don't even know, they didn't even have a Zoom account. Like I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, Zoom? No, I don't even know. Like it was the first webinar they were even on, because they're booked 120 dates a year and they just don't care. They're busy, busy, busy. So don't take for granted that you think that your market already has what you think they have. Look for products that you can sell. Look for ways that you can be of service, even if it's not yours. Just like what we did today. We just showed you a bunch of Amazon things. Maybe you put together a little Amazon package on, hey, here's like, who was it that you said, Ed sent out an email, or Irvine said that, he sent out a letter of, these are great leadership tips. Look at what you can curate. What content could you be the curator for? Become you're the primary source professional, and now you're being of service by offering that out.
Okay.
And Ford, if you want to put your Zoom affiliate link in the chat, please do.
I already did earlier, but no thanks. It's all right.
Okay. I'm going to go Kevin, myself, and then Darren, I'm going to have you wrap it up. Okay. So Kevin.
Okay. So if you're moving online for the first time, get closer to the camera. Right now, well, I would have to set this shot up and set it up for myself better. But right now, among all of us, Mark has it right. Get in close to the camera. They want to be able to see your face, and it's all in your eyes. It's all in your eyes. Now, if you're not used to talking to a camera, paint a little dot next to the lens so that you know exactly where you're looking for. Now, Darren's has a green light, but I'm not 100% sure if that's to the right or to the left of the lens. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm looking directly into the lens, because you want to look directly into the lens. One thing you can do if you're going to create content, and this is a tip from my buddy Brad Slate, record your audio into a little video camera, okay? Record your video on your laptop, record your audio into a little video camera, then take that audio and edit it into your video, because that audio is going to sound a bazillion times better than any audio you can have recording inside your computer, because a camera has better audio recording equipment inside of it. Don't be afraid. Practice with the camera. Get in close. Let people see your face. Caress the camera. Well, don't bump the camera, because then it looks weird. But caress the camera with your eyes.
Thank you, sir. I'm just going to talk about mindset. And Darren alluded to this earlier. I've been in this business, the first major catastrophe we had was 9/11. I was actually in New York on 9/11, where there was complete and absolute chaos. We made it through that. 2007, 2008, I had a $500,000 business. It went away in 13 days. I'm still here. We made it through that. We will make it through this. Okay, we will. I mean, we're strong. We're resilient. There's a ton of resources. Things have shifted from the physical to the virtual. Okay, and eventually we're going to go back to the physical again. But have grace with everyone that you meet, etc. Be nice. This is not a time to be selfish and to be stingy, etc. Like Ford said, this is a time of helping and servicing. Mark Brown said, mine your stories. Find those stories out there. And Mike Davis has given us plenty of tips in terms of how we can actually do this message online. You can and you will make it through this. Darren.
So have grace with yourself as well. You're going to make some mistakes, but right now, these are the stories, the mistakes that you make. Your mistakes are your assets. Your mistakes are your assets, because you're going to learn from them. It's going to be a story you can share. And we have at our church, Verve Church, we have this series that's my favorite of the year. It's called Live a Life Worth Watching. Live a life worth watching. So be the business person that other people say, wow, wasn't that cool that they did that? I have this on my desk, and it's a quote from Will Rogers, and it says, live your life so that whenever you lose, you're ahead. Right now, we have that opportunity. We had to postpone the event, but I said, okay, but how can we serve? How can we help the people who signed up? So that's what gave me the idea by asking that question. Remember, Ed gave you a list of questions earlier. That question in my head was, okay, but how can we help them? How can we help them now? So 2 months from now, they're in a much better position. And all of us, all of this faculty that you're listening to right now, we're going to have new ideas, new stories, and new ways to do things because of what we're going to go through in the next month, which we don't know what that is. But connect with us, stay connected with us, and be that voice that is your expertise in your industry, and people want to follow you. That's why I love Kevin's focusing all on humor now. Well, if he makes me laugh a couple times and I see it in someone else's feed, that's going to make me want to go follow this guy, because I want to know what else he's saying.
My likes have gone from an average of 20 to 30 per post to over 100 per post.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Because why? But also more people are reaching out and needing that now. They're looking to us. This is what you chose to do. So as my dad said, I don't care what you want to be, but just be the best. Thanks for joining us. Thrilled to have you at Stage Time Live in June, and we'll keep you posted along the way. Please tell your friends, have them join us. If you're not a Stage Time member, Go check out publicspeakingbusiness.com, because Ford and I do these calls twice a month where we just sit there and answer your questions, tell you what's happening. So if you're not already a Stage Time member, go check that out or shoot an email to support@Stage Time University. I want to shout out to my team, Regina and Vicky and Patty and Steph, who are helping me keep you guys in the loop. So thank you very much. Go out there and live a life worth watching. Hope you gained some insights from this. I hope you saw some things that you can do right now to be better positioned for later on when we get out of this and get to the new normal. If you'd like to join us for the event, live or virtual, go to stagetimelive.com and find out what we're doing. If it's still crazy, we'll postpone it again or we'll go virtual. But if you enjoy these 90 minutes with this world-class faculty, you'll love spending 2 days with us. We'll rock your world. Remember, what do game changers do when the game changes? Check out stagetimelive.com.